me? Can you hear me? Mesha Kimani, can you hear me? Michael. Oh, wonderful. Rahema says she can hear me. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Michael, I can see your response that you can hear me. This is wonderful. So thank you very much, guys, for joining me on this webinar. This Saturday morning, we are talking about the roadmap. We are talking about the roadmap, and I believe you all had an opportunity to download the ebook, which is what we're going to be following today. That's what we're going to be discussing: the roadmap, the five-stage blueprint to real estate mastery, the five-stage blueprint to real estate mastery. We want you to master real estate to the point where your actions are automatic. We want you to know what is good real estate, what is bad real estate, what is ugly real estate. Okay, so I hope you all had an opportunity to download the ebook, the roadmap, so that you can read the stories I have in the book and the methodologies that I have arranged for you that we are going to discuss today. So the roadmap is basically a step-by-step process. It is kind of a staircase. You will be essentially going up, a ladder, as it were, to the apex, to a point where your real estate is actually working for you. Your real estate portfolio is robust. We are all reeling from COVID-19, where we have discovered that our active sources of income are not always guaranteed, and we need another source that can help us together with our active income. We need another source that can help us shake the challenges that come with unexpected events, just like COVID-19. So this system, as you read in the book, is a system that I have used over the last 15 years with my clients. And when I started, it wasn't as clear as it is in the ebook that I sent to you. It was not as organized as it is, but over the years, over the decade, I've been tweaking the knobs here and there and making it work better. Yeah. So I will be telling you all about what my clients are able to do with the roadmap and how it's been able to help them. Off, I want to let you let us have some small slides, some small pictures we're going to be using here. I think they are loaded in there. I want you to kind of think of a situation where you are building a house. You want to create a real estate portfolio. You want to create a real estate portfolio, but essentially that process is akin to creating or to building a house. There is a simple sequential process of building a house. It is simple. Most of the time we take it for granted. I took it for granted until I went to do a small house back in the countryside, and then I realized that there's a process that is usually followed that you cannot change. Yeah, as much as I had everything, I had all the materials, I had the GCIs, I had the stones, I had the cement, I had the ballast, I had the sand, but there was nothing that could be done before we casted the foundation. So in other words, we are saying that investing in real estate follows a similar process. There is little you're going to do unless you start with the right stage, unless you start with the right process, which I'm going to show you in the next 1 hour and a half, to 2 hours. I will show you how this process works. and I'll show you some techniques of mastering this process so that you don't have to work hard in your mind. You don't have to get stressed. You don't have to complain that prices of houses, prices of properties are going through the roof. That is the truth. Yes, they are going through the roof. So what? What are you going to do if the prices are going the roof? Are you going to stop? Of course, the other investors who understand this process are not going to stop. As a matter of fact, some of them are happy that prices are going through the roof because what is happening, their present portfolio is increasing in value. Their present portfolio is increasing in value on a regular basis. So, where are you placed as the prices of properties go through the roof? Of course, if you've not started the journey, if you've not started the roadmap, then probably the bus is already gone. You're not going to be able to get into the bus. It's already taken off. So today I want to show you how to get into the bus, how not to be left behind, even when prices are going through the roof, or even when bubbles are there, even when bubbles are said to be bursting. Yeah, there's a process that when you follow, it will not matter whether we have bubbles, booms, or shaking sideways. All right, that's wonderful. So, as I have said, that investing is a process, it's not an event. Probably that's the first point you need to write down. Investing is a process, not an event. It is a process, and the process includes going through several stages in your knowledge, in your experience, and in your actions. It requires you to go through several stages in your actions. So I don't know whether any of you have ever built a house, something small, wherever it is you have your land. I would like you to be involved in this conversation, and I want to hear whether any of you have done any construction. Any construction. I'll be asking you questions. I'll be asking your experiences so that you can actually confirm what I'm laying down in the roadmap, agrees with your experience in construction. It agrees with your experience in doing investments, in doing many other things. So let's see who has done something. I know a few of you guys here. Uh, um, uh, James Karibu Sana, I think you're just joining us. So, guys, have you done any construction? Have you done any construction? Have you followed a system, or did you, mix them and gather them? And the system says that you have to start with a foundation. You have to start with the foundation, and that follows. What follows after you do the foundation is the walls. You cannot do the roofing before you have the walls. You cannot, roof a building that doesn't exist in terms of walls. And subsequently, you also cannot go into doing the internal finishes and fixtures without having walls, because where are you going to fix them? It sounds like common sense, but when it comes to investing, what is common sense is not common practice. What is common sense is not common practice. And of course, finally, when you have the walls ready, the roof ready, the internal finishes and fixtures, I mean the internal and external finishes done, you can finally have fittings and fixtures, and your building, your house will be ready for occupation. So, what makes it difficult for most people to implement investments? That's a question I want to pose you guys. I want your questions down here. What makes it difficult? What makes it difficult? Guys, write something here. Ask me those questions. what makes it difficult for people to implement real estate investments? You may want to get a small statistics that I have collected over the years, that has been collected in many other parts of the world. And the statistics says that in a population, in a country, in a community, less than 5% are the ones who manage to implement investments. Yes, less than 5% of the populations do actually implement investments. So, what are we trying to say? We're actually trying to say that the buildings that you see, with the exception of the homes that you see around Nairobi, that you see around the country, when you remove the homes where people live in, they have built their beautiful homesteads, they have their house, their stove, their kitchen, their farm, and everything else. When you remove that, because in a standard way, we don't consider that as an investment. That is a property that you are consuming as the owner. So when you remove that, most of these buildings that you see in town, most of these buildings that you see as apartment blocks, most of these buildings you see as factories, they are owned by less than 5% of Kenyans. That is the truth. So it may not be interesting for you today to learn that it's a very small number, it's a very small size of the population that actually invests in real estate. So I want you to tell me, why is it so difficult? Why is it so difficult for the average person, for the masses, for all the millions of people we have in Nairobi, we have in the city? Why is it so difficult for them to venture in investments? Yes, Rahema is typing. I'm so excited. I want to see what Rahema has to say. And Rahema says that starting capital is a big problem. Starting capital, according to Rahema, is a big problem. Yes, George is writing. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Why is it that a very small number of the population actually does invest in real estate? Yes, George has given us a very good point. That is lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge. Yeah, who else has to say something? Guys, I want you guys to participate. Come on, we need some more energy. We need some more energy. Yeah, I have, my batteries are fully charged right now, but if you let me talk alone as we go along, my batteries will be depleted very fast. So I need you guys to help me. I need you guys to help me replenish my batteries. Yeah. Nataka joto pia kutoka kwenu, ndio tuweze kufanya hii webinar ikuwe, transformational. This webinar is supposed to help you change everything you thought you knew about real estate investing. Yeah. So Meshach says lack of knowledge and coaching. Yeah. So I've got some pointers. I've got some pointers to tell you why only 5% uh, does investing in real estate. It's a very simple concept. Probably you want to write it down. The reason why a very small proportion of the population, Rehema, we have two Rehemas here. Wonderful. Oh, I think it's the same Rehema. So not knowing who to trust in different industries. So you guys have sent very, very nice ideas. The first idea is starting capital. That's what Rahema said. Two, George said lack of knowledge. Kimani says lack of knowledge and coaching. And Ramos says not knowing who to trust. All those points are valid. All those points are valid, but there is one overriding point that none of you has said, and that is what I am trying to debunk today. There's one overriding point that none of you have said, and probably you need to write it down. And this is called the frame of mind. The frame of mind. Most people call it mindset. Mindset. It's a word that is tossed left, right, center. Mindset. Before we go into skill set, I will be giving you some skill set. Frame of mind. You can call it a paradigm. You can call it a paradigm. Okay. You know what a paradigm is. A paradigm is a multitude of beliefs, habits, and 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 knowledge and things that you know. So George is right on saying that lack of knowledge is primary. Yeah, but knowledge to a very large extent is potential power. You could know all the things I'm going to talk about today, but if you are not able to implement, if you're not able to take action, you will remain knowledgeable. The techniques I'll be talking about today could be in your domain. You will remain knowledgeable, but no action. Why is there no action? Yes, capital. Yes, Rama talked about capital. Capital is something that you acquire outside of you. Capital exists outside of you. Capital is there. Capital is one of the things that, when you understand how real estate works, is one of the things that you can organize. Banks open their doors every day to sell capital. So if you understand that, then you can find a process and a methodology to find the capital. So I think that answers Rehema to some extent. Knowledge is important. Kimani says lack of knowledge and coaching, being shown the way. That is very, very critical. But of course, that comes with a shift in your consciousness, a shift in your mindset. Most people are not willing to be taught. If there's anything that determines success or failure, is called teachability. What is your ability to entertain a new idea that is probably contrary to what you think you knew? You can see today, how many people do we have in this webinar? We have 6 guys logged into this webinar. Why? Because most people think they know how real estate works and they don't want to entertain a new idea. Okay. So the primary reason why only 5% or less than 5% actively invest in this country and many other parts of the world. It's not only a Kenyan phenomenon. It's the same phenomenon in developed countries. It's the same phenomenon in the East. It's the same phenomenon in the South. It's a similar phenomenon. So the main reason why most people don't invest is because of their mind frame, their frame of mind, what they think investment is. Most people cannot differentiate a business from an investment. Most people cannot differentiate a real estate business from a real estate investment. These are two different things. So I'm going to be showing you that. So primarily, what we're going to do in this webinar is to shift the way you think about real estate, to transform your mind, to transform the paradigms that you have about real estate, so that next week, next month, immediately, because I said knowledge that is not in action is just potential power. It's like having batteries in your car and you're not connecting them to start your car. You will stay there, you try to kick the car, it's not taking off because it's potential power, it's in the batteries, but it is not connected. So having knowledge that you're not implementing is potential power, is not helping you. So I'm going to show you that when you shift how you think, when you shift how you treat real estate, you're going to discover that everything that you needed, starting with capital from Rahema, you're going to knowledge from George and from Mesha Kimani, you're going to discover that all these things that you need are around you. You are surrounded by knowledge, you are surrounded by capital, and you're surrounded by skills. Okay. So as I take you through the stages, I came to curate these stages after working with several hundreds of clients and helping them implement their investment plans and portfolio to, to tangible things that are bringing money, that are growing their portfolio, they're growing their capital. Okay, Patricia, karibu sana to the webinar. We're just beginning, and I was taking you through the introduction. Catherine, welcome to the webinar. The introduction basically is that investing is not an event. Now I think you understand why a few people actually do it, because most people only go out to the marketplace to buy a piece of real estate only when they have money. Now, I'll teach you another process. You don't have to wait until when you have the money so as to go into real estate investment. So, what are these 5 stages? What are these 5 stages? Let's see what these 5 stages are. Great. Yes, the 5 stages are in front of us. The 5 stages are as follows. The first stage of mastery, the first stage you want to master is your target. This sounds like common sense, sounds like what you think everybody knows. Yeah, the truth is that not everybody knows what kind of properties they should be targeting to acquire. I am working with some clients who were in last month's webinar, and one of the clients actually we were talking about it yesterday, and she could not believe that all along she's been working for 15 years. She could not believe that all along she was targeting the wrong asset class. She was targeting the wrong real estate. I actually gave her a simple exercise, a simple quiz to give me 5 properties that she thinks are the best investments for her. So, what do you think she gave me? She gave me the wrong asset class. She gave me the wrong asset class. I'll be showing you why mastery of the target is very critical. And if you are targeting the wrong asset class, you're going to struggle. You're going to find it hard. You're going to say there is no capital. You're going to say you don't have enough money because you're targeting the wrong asset class, because you're targeting the wrong property. So I want to reiterate, the first stage is the most critical. It's the most critical. The first stage is not having capital. Helma, yes, the first stage is not having capital. The first stage is knowing what asset class to look out for, to go and try to acquire. That is the first critical stage. I will take you through that stage in a short while. The second stage, which has to come after the first stage, I want you guys to listen very carefully. The second stage is mastering the 3 Ps. What are these 3 Ps? Again, something that is absolutely common sense, but most people don't use it. Common sense is not common practice. So, what are the 3 Ps? The 3 Ps are, maybe you need to write it down: practice, practice, practice. Practice, practice, practice. You may want to ask me, why should I practice investing in real estate? The reason why you should practice investing in real estate is because if you are targeting the wrong asset class, you're going in the wrong direction. And in essence, you're practicing the wrong scale. I'll be showing you why practice does not make perfect. Most people say that practice makes perfect. That is not entirely true. Perfect practice makes perfect. You have to be practicing the right thing. If you practice the wrong thing, you will become proficient. You'll become proficient in the wrong thing. Yeah, I will show you how I practiced the wrong thing and became proficient in the wrong thing. Now, what is stage number 3? Stage number 3 is very critical, absolutely critical. Most people go straight to stage 3 in their real estate investment journey. They go straight into stage 3. And of course, you have all the stories of auctions, left, right, center. People are saying, oh, real estate is crumbling. Real estate is coming down because everybody has leverage and they are being auctioned. So why is it important to practice leverage? The reason it is very important to get mastery of leverage is because leverage is supposed to help you, not to help the bank. Leverage is there to help you as an investor. Leverage is there to increase your speed, of acquisition. So there is a formula for leverage. There is a formula for leverage. Going to the bank to borrow money does not necessarily amount to leverage. Are we together, guys? Going to the bank to borrow money doesn't necessarily amount to leverage. Some people go to the bank to borrow money, and in essence, they've just punctured a big gaping hole in their wallet. So how does it become helpful when you've punctured a big hole in your financial bucket? So you have to master leverage. And once again, let me remind you that these stages are arranged in their ascending order. So you cannot start with leverage without mastery of the right targets. As I'm going to show you, if you start with leverage, the first thing you do is go to a bank, borrow money, buy a piece of real estate. You are likely to get stuck there for 10 years. How would it feel if you had 10 years remaining in your employment career, and the only thing you do is you buy one small bungalow somewhere, it punctures a big hole in your bucket, in a financial bucket, and after 10 years, that's the only thing you have to show for it. Okay. So you've got to know what asset class, what kind of properties you're going to target. Do some practice. I'll show you how to do that. Then use leverage to accelerate, not to decelerate, not to burden yourself, not to carry a heavy load. Leverage is supposed to help you, be easy in your investment journey. Okay. What is the fourth stage? The fourth stage is the most beautiful, most elegant. That's what most people aim at. The fourth stage. That's what most people aim at. Income pipelines, mastering income pipelines. So, mastery of income pipelines is very critical because of two things. I'll be showing you how that works. The first thing is that when you buy the right asset class, that property is supposed to enable you acquire the next property. I don't know how to explain that in a way that it could go straight into your into your reservoirs, into your subconscious mind. I don't know how to put that. Every property you acquire should in essence help you acquire the next. Okay, so most people buy properties that impede, that stop them from acquiring the next property. So you hear people in conversations that, oh my God, I'm locked in a property, so I have to be locked here for the next 10 years. Yeah, why? Why are you locked in a property for the next 10 years? You should be able to acquire a property every so often. Why? Because when you master pipelines, every time you acquire a new property, your pipeline expands. The amount of water coming to your to your homestead expands. So when that happens, why are you getting stuck? Why are you getting stuck? Is it making sense, guys? So there's an order of progression that you have not been aware of. And that's why you're probably fighting hard. That's why you're fighting wars that don't seem to have answers. Okay. It's because number one, you're probably targeting the wrong asset class. Number two, you've not done practice. You've done practice with the wrong stuff. You're proficient at buying the wrong properties. Okay. The number three, you're not using leverage. You're working very hard. You're using all your might, all your working income, Yeah. So there is no leverage that you're getting from the assets that you're acquiring. And of course, number four, the pipelines, you only have reservoirs. Most people acquire reservoirs that often run out. Reservoirs, they are good, they are fantastic, but they run out. They run out of water, they run out of money, as it were. Okay, so that is the fourth stage. The fifth stage is mostly not known to many people. The fifth stage is what I call mastering the spring effect. What is a spring? What is a spring? We all have an experience with motor vehicles, with cars. They have just this. I'm using this as a simple analogy to explain that if you if you run your portfolio in the right order, it's going to be robust in a way that it absorbs any shocks that come your way. It absorbs COVID-19 shocks. Yes, the amount of money may be a little less during COVID, but it's not totally dry. It's not totally dry. Those guys who have mastered these stages and they have a nice, solid investment portfolio that is giving them a substantial flow of income every month. I can guarantee you, I can tell you, they are breezing through COVID, without so much shocks. Yeah. I'll tell you a story of how I experienced the importance of a shock absorbing system, of a spring system, when I was working with a guy as a young man going to the river. I have that story in the book, in a roadmap. And the story basically is there to show you that, there are different ways of doing things. Some ways are harder and they spend too much energy and spend too much effort, and yet they do not solve the problem permanently. They do not solve the problem permanently. So today we want to solve the problem permanently. We want to have, some lifestyle that is supported by passive income, where we are benefiting from being able to do the things that we want. That's why we do investments. Okay, wonderful. So the five stages are right with you. So I don't know which stage you feel that you skipped, or you've not started. You've not started at any stage. I want to hear what guys have to say. Hilda, which stage do you think you have implemented in your investment plans? We have James. James, tell us, which of these stages do you think you have implemented, or do you think you have skipped? So Peter, karibu sana, nimekuona, karibu sana kwa hii webinar ya Real Estate Mastery. I want you after today's session to have some level of understanding how real estate works. When you speak, yeah, people will listen. They will think you have a different perspective, which is of course not commonplace. As popular perspective is usually not true. That's why only 5% are able to invest. So guys, I want to hear, what stage out of these five stages have you mastered the right targets? Come on, you guys here, have you mastered the right target? James says he has just started. Okay, James, have you mastered the right property targets? Solomon, karibu sana. We have just gone through the five stages that you need to master in order to implement a successful real estate portfolio. So, guys, which stage have you mastered, or which stage have you skipped? Let me know. Come on, guys. How do I help you? How do I give you more ideas in today's webinar? Because you're supposed to go home with something that you can use tomorrow. I want you guys to go home fired up with something that you can use tomorrow. So let's have some conversation. Don't sit back and keep quiet. Michael, I know you're a man of action. I want to hear you say something. Yes, Rahema is contributing. I'm very, very happy with you. Rahema is contributing. So let's hear what guys have to say. So Rahema says she is in stage 0. So you don't have to worry, Rahema. You're going to start the right way. You're going to start the right way. So, Catherine, what stage are you in this roadmap, these new ideas that I'm introducing to you? What stage are you in? Or what stage are you struggling with? What stage are you struggling? Are you struggling with leverage? Are you struggling with the three P's? What do you need to practice the three P's? I'll show you that in a short while. I'll show you that in a short while. Um, who else do we have here who is keeping quiet? Patricia has not said anything. Patricia, what stage are you in? Or what stage have you experienced? Yeah, tell me what your experience is. Michael says most banks are not willing to lend. Yes, I'm going to talk about that. That's like third stage. I think, Michael, you're trying to implement leverage, mastery of leverage. That's wonderful. Yeah, I will tell you why. I will tell you why banks seem not to be willing to lend in your case. Because banks have a formula. Banks also have a formula. So, what you need to understand is the formula that the banks use. And we're going to talk about that. Patricia says that I have started, but I'm not sure whether the target is ideal. Thank you for joining this webinar. You're going to know in a short while, you're going to know whether you're targeting the right thing, whether you're targeting the right thing. So let me discuss the first stage, mastering the targets. And probably before I go into the first stage, I want to share with you, my story from I've just picked a random client that I've worked with over the last 10 years. And it's a story in the ebook of Susan, who was trying to acquire property. When we met, she was trying to acquire property in Imara Daima, and I helped her as a consultant because that's my background. I think I did not introduce that. My background is real estate consultancy. I studied real estate at the university, and that's what I do. I help people with real estate consultancy. So I helped Susan through the process of acquisition of the property in Imara Daima. But in the process, I discovered that Susan was not happy. There was something that was not, coming quite clear in terms of what she was trying to do, what her overall objective was. So probably you need also to write that down. You have to have an overall objective that you are trying to achieve. And I believe the overall objective is not just to acquire. It's not just to acquire assets. I once had a client who had a portfolio worth over $1 million, a portfolio worth over 100 million, but he could not fuel his car. He was so honest with me. He could not fuel his car. The cash flows were not there. You could say he was broke, but it was a millionaire. He was a wealthy guy. So yeah, so these ideas we are discussing today are very practical. You need to pay close attention, take as much notes as possible, and be sure to connect with me after this webinar. We see what we can do. So I was describing Susan's predicament. She had been investing for a couple of years, buying properties here, houses here, buying land there, buying stuff here and there. But she was really feeling the heat of struggling to acquire these assets. So I invited her to have a conversation with me. We actually did this online back then. I think, the telephone and Skype and of course emails was the most popular method of doing it because she was based in Europe. She was not based locally. So we had a session. We had a session that I called discovery session. Back then it wasn't as organized as it is today in my programs, but it was a discovery session. And what we did with her is to find where she wanted to go and also where she was at. So she quickly was able to share with me what her objective was. She was about to retire in 10 years. The gig that she had in Europe was coming to an end, and she was worried that when she comes back, she will have to look for another job, which was not a very interesting idea for her. So she needed to have a portfolio. She needed to have a real estate portfolio that was going to take care of her lifestyle. And she wanted to continue with the lifestyle that she had. So she was trying to do that. Now, what I discovered in what she had done up to that point was that she was acquiring their own asset classes. She was buying their own properties. And that's why she was feeling something heavy on her shoulders. She was paying so much money in mortgages out of her pocket. Basically, her tenants were enjoying, her mortgage, as it were. So we did something called backward thinking. Backward thinking is a wonderful process. I learned this from another guy several years back. And the backward thinking is a process that involves you going to the destination, so to speak, then working backwards. Let's say you're going to Mombasa. You want to go to Mombasa. You've never been to Mombasa. You don't know that Mombasa Road exists. You want to go to Mombasa. So, you start with Mombasa. You have to find where Mombasa is located. Probably you try that with, Google Maps. I'm just using this as an example to put the point across. So you start with Mombasa, then you try finding your way back to Nairobi. If you do that, you're going to find what I call the path of least resistance. Andika hiyo, my friend. Patricia, andika hiyo. If you don't want to struggle anymore with real estate investments or any other thing that you're going to do, look for a way to find the path of least resistance for you, not for somebody else, for you. Somebody who is employed is going to use a different path from somebody who is in business. Does that make sense, guys? Come on. Tell me whether I'm making sense. The person who is employed will follow a different path from the person who is running a business. Okay. So you have to discover. So what we did with Susan was that we looked at her strength. We looked at what she had, her resource base. You don't want to drive to Mombasa in a car that has no fuel. Utakwama pale chumvi bana. Mafuta itaisha, utakwama pale chumvi. So you have to check how much fuel you have, how much resources you have. You have to check your resource base. Okay. So again, not going back, when you check your resource base, you can know how to come about with capital. Rehema, that was a brilliant comment there. So we did backward thinking with Susan, and we created a roadmap. Actually, this came out of Susan's experience. We created a roadmap, and the roadmap was these 5 stages. So first thing, I had to teach Susan the right asset class, the target. We had to reposition properties she had acquired before so that they can stop weighing her down. Does that make sense, guys? Guys are not writing. Come on, you guys. Tell me that I'm making sense. All right. Tell me I'm making sense. I need my batteries to remain charged. All right. Yeah. So we had to reposition some of our properties. Some properties had punctured huge gaping holes. They were just removing money from our pocket, So we repositioned these properties, and those properties stopped removing money from our pocket. How cool is that? It's like plugging some leaking pipe. Yeah. So when I don't know, guys, whether you've gone to the river to fetch water with a gourd that has holes. We used to do that back in the village. So by the time you're getting home, your gourd is empty. It has nothing. So most people who are struggling with real estate is that they are carrying some bucket that has holes everywhere, and they're wondering why they are getting home with nothing. Every other month there is nothing. So Susan was doing something similar to that. She had a portfolio that was removing money from her pocket, a portfolio that was making life very difficult for her. So we repositioned those. Then I coached her through the 5 stages, and we did something called implementation. We said knowledge is potential power. If it's not in action, if knowledge is not in action, it remains potential power. You do not get any benefit whatsoever with it if you do not spring to action and do something. So we did that. Susan acquired property after property, property after property. Now she's at the stage, the 5th stage, which is a spring effect, where she can actually acquire a property. Excuse me. Excuse me. She can acquire a property in the range of 25 million to 35 million without going to her pocket. Rehema, umesikia hiyo? Spring effect. Spring effect. That's capital. She can acquire a property in the range of 25 million to 35 million without going to her pocket. Basically, the banks are asking her, come on, when are you coming over to we give you some money? How about that, Rahema? How about banks calling you and asking you, when are you coming over? We give you money. That is also something awesome to you to think about, but we're going to talk about going forward. So is a process that works. This is a process that is working. I was hoping one of my current students who are going through the program was going to join here today, so they can give them some tidbits of what they experience. I think George is one of the guys who are in the program. George, if you get an opportunity and you think you can share with guys how your mind is shifting in how you're looking at real estate from what we're discussing the programs, please feel free to share that information with the guys in this webinar. I'm allowing you to do that. So let me take you through the 5 stages. Thank you, Patricia. You are enjoying this. This is wonderful. And by the way, guys, I'm recording this for you. How awesome is that? I'm recording this for you. I'll put it somewhere, send you a link so that you can listen to it over and over and over again. And that will help you in shifting your mental frame, how you've been thinking, so that you can start taking action. So let's go to the 1st stage. Wonderful, guys. Wonderful, guys. So Solomon says that he's hoping to start trying to get a grip on the whole real estate industry. Yes, today I'm throwing you straight into the deep end, Solomon. I want you to shake. I want you to shake. I want you to feel the fear. I want you to gasp for breath. I'm taking you straight into the deep end. So stage number 1, mastering the targets, mastering the target. Let me share with you a story I had as a young boy back in the day. In the village, we used to enjoy shooting dik-diks, shooting hares, and squirrels and doves. I know today it's outlawed to shoot those animals. Back then it was fun. Yeah. Today I don't do that anymore. My boys don't do that. It was fun back in the day. So there was this particular day when we decided we are going to have fun hunting, and one of our sharpshooters was not there. The story is very well in the book. Please read the book. You'll get the insights, deeper insights, much deeper insights. So on that particular day, our sharpshooter was not there. So I said, you know what, today I'm going to be a sharpshooter. So I'm going to be one of the guys who goes to wait for the animals as they're coming, because guys are going to form some kind of an arc. Then they would chase the animals out of their hiding places, then try to take them through a narrow path so that we can shoot them. It was fun. It was fun, guys. So this day I took my arrow bow. Yes, I know how to shoot an arrow. And I positioned myself in one of those bushes next to the river. And before I knew it, the animals were coming. Guys had been busy with the dogs chasing the animals. So I was crouching down, waiting for this dig so that I can shoot it. Before I was ready, the animal was heading for me through the bush. I thought the animal was going to pass through the road because the road is very clear, so that I could have a good shot at it and make my kill. Then I'm going to join the ranks of sharpshooters. But that's not what happened. The animal decided to come through the bush, through the thicket, straight to me. So exactly, the moment that I noticed the animal was headed, it was going to hit me, and it was huge, man. I dashed, I threw away my arrows and took cover. Of course, that lost my balance. By the time I was recollecting myself, hey, mnyama alikuwa anapiga kona huko, ameruka juu huko anakimbizana na mbwa. So what I did, of course, I recollected myself, tried to aim again, released my arrow, missed the animal, and I hit the dog. Instead of joining the ranks of the sharpshooter, I guess I joined the ranks of guys who hit the wrong thing, guys who hit the dog belonging to our sharpshooter. I moved from expecting joy to pain. It was very crazy. And this is what I'm trying to explain about real estate. Most people think they actually know what they're doing. Most I meet them, I am privileged to meet many people because this is what I do on a daily basis. This is what I went to school to study. So I meet people regularly every day who think they actually know what they're doing. They know what kind of asset class they're targeting, but they hit the wrong thing. They do exactly like I did. They buy the wrong asset class, and the asset class basically makes them broke, makes them unhappy, just like I was in that experience with with Waria's dog. Our sharpshooter was called Waria. He was a local guy who could shoot a dick while the dick is in the air. I mean, we just used to admire the guy. So after that experience, I had an opportunity to sit down with this guy to teach me how he manages to do that. He shoots at a target that is moving. That's legendary. So he taught me a very 5 minutes coaching. He taught me a process. Like I said, everything has a process. What you're trying to do has a process. So you need to discover the process. Today we are discovering the process that works in real estate. Much of what I'm telling you is probably stuff that you haven't heard from other people. Because what happens, most people out there teach technique. They forget that the technique has to be implemented by Rehema. The technique has to be implemented by Patricia. The technique has to be implemented by Solomon, by Sospita. The technique is not going to be implemented by the consultant. The consultant basically does what you tell them to do. Yeah. So that also explains why only 5% actually able to do it, because only 5% actually have the right frame of mind to do it. So Warrior took me through just a 5 minute coaching session where he showed me how to do my fast kill. Just imagine how simple it was. What he told me was I should not start shooting moving objects because I'm a novice. I'm a beginner. Most people are not willing to be taken as beginners. I like what Solomon said. Solomon says he has not started, so he's accepting that he's a novice in this game. He's a beginner in this game. Most people are not willing to accept, like Susan did. She was doing it when we had that session. She actually accepted, oh, actually, it's true. I don't know this thing. So Waria told me start with station 1. targets. Don't start with moving targets. Start with stationary targets. Practice, which is going to be the next stage you're going to do. And as you practice, you will become proficient to a point where you can shoot moving targets. So with real estate is the same. You start small with the right target. You start small with the right targets. I'm going to repeat this probably several times. You start small with the right targets. The properties that help you, the properties that help you buy this property. So you have to shift your consciousness from ownership, from acquisition. Ni yangu, nimenunua, imewekwa box. That's not how investors think. They don't put things in boxes. Investors acquire things that help them acquire the next thing. Investors acquire things that help them move in the right direction, not things that make them feel nice in the party. Yeah, that's not the objective of an investor. You don't buy a piece of property that you go talk about in a party. Yeah, most properties that investors buy, if you talk about them in a party, people laugh at you. They're like, what? How can you go to this side of the city? Okay, is that making sense? So you have to realize that the right asset class that you are going to target is the beginning point, is not capital, is what asset class will help you. What asset class will help you? You know, you starting small is the greatest idea I can share with you today. Starting small with the right asset class. So once I got that idea from Maria that I should start with more stationary targets, so as to finish the story, was that I was able to do some research, find where these animals are hiding, and there you go. It only took me a week, and I shot one. It took me a week. I went slowly onto it. It was there, here. It was there, hiding. So I knocked it off, and I was happy. I showed my friends. I was showing off throughout the week. Yeah, I actually did it. I actually did it. Yeah. So you guys, when you decide you're going to get into the real estate, you've got to find the right asset class, that performs the objectives that you want. And of course, the objective is not feel nice. The objective is to grow your portfolio, So there is a specific kind of properties that investors buy. There is a specific kind of properties that investors buy. What kind of properties are these? Yeah. I'll be sharing with you the specific kind of properties in the stages that are coming forward. But what I want you to understand today is that you have to sit down and think about your final destination. Where do you want to go? Do you want just to have a big portfolio of properties that are actually not giving you money, that are not helping you move in the right directions? Wonderful. So that's the first stage. That's what I want to encourage you to do as an investor, to first identify the asset class and focus on it. You have to remove a disease I call shiny object syndrome. Shiny object syndrome is a disease that is sold by television. It's a disease that is sold by social media. Yeah, of course, I'm not blaming. I'm not saying that those guys are doing anything wrong. They are marketing their properties. So if you're not well educated, if you do not know what you're looking for, you're going to jump to the next shiny object. Now, will the shiny object be taking you in the right direction? Most likely not. Most likely not. It's going to puncture a hole in your financial bucket, and you will be left, wallowing and wondering what's happening. I'm working very hard, but I'm not moving in the right direction. First stage, mastery of targets. The client I was telling you about, I was working with yesterday. She cannot believe how She was wrong. She cannot believe how she was going to keep going in circles if she purchased the wrong asset class, which she was actually about to acquire. She had already had her mortgage approved, but what she was going to buy was definitely going to puncture a very massive hole in her financial bucket. And definitely, it wasn't going to help her acquire the second, the third, and the fourth property going forward. Wonderful. So is the first idea consolidated? What have you learned? What have you taken? What are you taking home out of the first stage, you guys? I like you guys being active in today's webinar. I like you guys being active in today's webinar. I am excited. I am, like you can see, my batteries are still charged because you guys are saying something. Yes, I want you guys to type and tell me what you've learned about the first stage. What you've learned. How are you going to implement the first stage, guys? Or because I haven't told you the specific kind of properties, why don't you guys tell me what kind of properties, what asset classes are you going to target? What asset class are you going to target? So I would like everybody to type something. Catherine, type something. George, type something. Tell us what you're experiencing in the trainings, in the workshops, in the webinars. Mesha, tell us what's happening. Mesha, Michael, tell us what's happening. Tell us whether the first stage makes sense to you, whether it solves a bit of the problem. Where is Rehema? Rehema, are you getting ideas that are in a way solving what was your initial challenge? What was your initial difficulty? Capital, capital, capital. I'm saying start with the right targets. Small, you will actually be building capital. I hope that is making sense. Okay, let's hear what guys are saying. So James says he will target rentals. Wonderful. 100%. James got it right. 100%. Yeah. Thank you, Patricia, for your comment. I like these comments coming through. Wow, wonderful. I love the comments coming through. James, I think Rahema says research on the right target for my goals. Beautiful. Beautiful, Rahema. The moment you sit down and focus on your objectives, ideas are just going to come out of the blue. There's no way you're going to find a solution that you haven't sat down to think about. Most people don't. Okay, so that's wonderful from Rahema. Let's see what Solomon says. I think having a specific target requires a lot of discipline. That's beautiful because if there is residential properties seem to dry up, you may find yourself drifting to another target. That's beautiful. And I'm going to show you how to make sure you don't buy properties that dry up. There is a formula, yes, there is a formula of buying properties that don't dry up. Buying properties that, if they dry up, all the other places will have dried up before. Imagine like an oasis. Oasis is the last place to dry up. Huko the highlands, kabla pale chini kwa maji kwa kisima ikauke, huku kwingine kutakuwa kumeathirika kabisa. So I'll show you how to be in the oasis where by the time that place dries up, there is no one else standing. How cool is that, Solomon? If I show you where to position yourself so that you are the last guy to dry up. How cool is that, Solomon? Okay, let's see what Patricia says. Patricia says, I would like research on the asset class. Yes, exactly. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And focus on being clear on my objectives. Beautiful. Backward thinking is the most wonderful process that you can use, Patricia. Yeah, is advice from the point of departure. Yeah, exactly. So who else is writing? Who else is commenting? I love this. My batteries are getting recharged. My batteries are getting recharged so that I take you through the second stage. So my story was metaphorical to show you actually if you don't take time to learn, you'll be shooting blanks. You'll be shooting blanks all the time. You'll be shooting the wrong stuff, going and doing the wrong stuff. Second stage. Let's go to the second stage. Mastery of the 3 Ps. Second stage, mastery of the 3 Ps. Yeah, I said, and guys, write this down. Perfect practice makes perfect. Practice does not make perfect. If you practice the wrong thing, you become proficient in the wrong thing. Now, the interesting bit is, from my experience, I've been doing this over the last 20 years. Every day I see people practicing the wrong stuff. They practice it every day. They watch television. They are told this is the most beautiful property. It's the most nice investments. And of course, the guy who is advising you is selling you the property. So he is marketing. He's not educating you. So what do people end up doing? They end up practicing the wrong asset class. They end up practicing the wrong thing. The story that I have in the book about how you learn how to drive is a perfect example of how people often practice the wrong thing, and also how people have the wrong idea about proficiency in investing. Most people think they actually know how real estate investing works, but the truth is only 5% of people understand how it works. So what happened when I read books about driving, about having the clutch. In the book I showed you how I would watch a guy driving the bus as I was going to Machakos, my hometown, every month. Yeah, because I had the opportunity to do that, and I thought I had mastered how to drive. I had read a book, practiced watching a guy drive, and I knew I was, boom, the master of driving. I'm good. So my elder brother came. He bought a car. I was very excited, and when he came with it, after a few weeks, he came and left it in at home, because my dad needed to do something to go somewhere with it, and he left me the keys. So vijana ni wale wale tu. So I took the car and tried my driving skills. I was confident that I was good. Of course, little did I discover that I wasn't proficient in nothing. I did not know anything about driving because I had never driven a car before. What was happening was I was driving it in my mind. I was watching a guy drive the bus, and I was reading books about driving. So there was no practice. So I ended up crashing the fence and going almost to wipe my uncle's maize plantation. So so that tells you that most people who have the wrong ideas about their proficiency in investing, what do they end up doing? They end up doing crazy stuff. They end up losing money, lots of money. They end up being stuck with monuments. Any of you guys stuck with monuments? Of course, we are being sensitive. Yeah, so don't get emotional that we are being insensitive. We are being very sensitive. But do you have an experience with actually doing the wrong thing in the real estate investment journey? Buying, in the bundles, buying, stuff that is actually not moving. It's just there. You have a portfolio that's just there, not doing anything, not helping you. Yeah. So why is perfect practice important? Of course, after that experience, I did not try those kind of shenanigans again. I went to a driving school, and in a controlled environment, I was taught how to drive in a controlled environment. The teacher had, of course, you guys have gone through driving school. The teacher has the same gadgets you have, so you can navigate the car if you're doing something wrong. This is what I'm trying to tell you. You need to practice in a controlled environment. Where are you going to get this controlled environment to practice so that you don't make mistakes? Yeah, by starting small. starting small with the right targets. You buy the first one, you experience how to manage tenants. Okay, you experience how to look for capital. Rehema, I'm still back at you. You start small and practice how to create capital, how to get capital. You start in a controlled environment with help, with a control in a controlled environment with guidance. You start small and practice. You buy the first property, small property. You buy the second property, small property. By the time you're buying the third property, now you're proficient. You can drive the car now. You can drive it on your own. You can drive, and have fun and enjoy. You can put your one hand on the side and enjoy and whistle as you drive. The investors who are proficient, they do it while they are whistling. Yeah, I have one guy calling me out where he's working out of the country, and he tells me, "When you see this, call me." That's somebody who knows what they're doing. When you see this kind of property, call me. Of course, we've done several deals with him. So when I see what he's looking for, I'll call him and we will close the deal. The question is, do you know what you're looking for? Can you see it? Have you practiced enough to be able to see it when you're driving? Have you practiced enough to actually see an investment property out of the forest of so many properties? Again, I'll tell you that in the city of Nairobi, most of the properties are consumption properties. They are homes. They are owner occupier. They are wonderful. They are beautiful. But when you're creating an investment portfolio, that's not where you look. You do not look at owner occupier zones. You do not look at places where people buy homes and live in. That's not where you're looking. Where do you look? Remember, we were supposed to have the targets. Where do you look? You look at tenant occupier zones. You look at the areas that are saturated with tenancies, with tenants. These are the areas that you look out for. So the second stage helps you, become proficient. It makes you become smart at finding the right deals in the market. One of the questions I get often from my clients is, where are these deals? Most people ask me, where are these deals? So what is the answer? My answer to them is, where are you looking? Where are you looking? Because when I open my eyes, I see deals, 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 deals. But now you're telling me you can't see any deals. Why can't you see any deals? Is because you've not practiced, you've not mastered the art. You don't know how to drive real estate. You don't have real estate driver's license. I'm trying to give you guys a real estate driver's license. Okay, are you going to be interested? Are you going to join me in giving you a real estate driver's license? I'll tell you about that before we close this webinar. So have you taken out something out of the second stage? I want you guys to tell me what ideas you've picked from the second stage and how you're going to implement it. Practice, practice, practice. How are you going to implement it? Okay, let's have a few comments coming in. I want to go quickly to the third stage, but I want to recharge my batteries. I want to nataka kujaza tank tena. Nasikia inapungua kidogo. So you guys write something down there. Let me hear. Benta, karibu sana. Umechelewa kidogo lakini basi haijafika kule haijafika Mtito wa Ndei. Benta, karibu sana, karibu sana. Who else has joined right now? No new person. So guys, yes, I want to hear those comments down there. Second stage. You guys, second stage. This is the stage that most people ignore. Kabisa, hawataki kufanya practice. Wanataka kwenda straight anunue property ya 100 million. You're going to buy the wrong thing. And it's going to be a disaster. Yeah, thank you very much, Benta. Yeah. So Hilda says different perspectives. She's getting different perspectives. Wonderful. But Rahema says practice by starting small. Yes, I can tell you most people find it hard to start small. Wanaenda bank, wana push bank, iwapatie the maximum loan they can borrow. Wrong idea. Very, very wrong idea. Don't go to the bank and ask the maximum. Wrong idea. And that introduces the third stage, which is mastery of leverage. Okay, wonderful. Let's hear what guys are saying. Where do you get small properties starting small? What is the range of price for such? Interesting question from James. So James, I'll tell you that in the marketplace, when you look outside of your window, anything you see is real estate. When you look out of your window, excuse me, everything you see is real estate. There's real estate starting from 100,000 all the way to a billion. Yes, I'm answering. I'm answering James. Yeah, there's real estate starting from 100,000 all the way to a billion. Everything in between, eco, imejaa. So what you have to do is start looking in the right places. Start looking in the right places. Yeah, I will show you the right places as we proceed. So practice starting from. So James, yes, I've answered your question. Patricia, what factors enable one to identify a tenant occupied zone versus an owner occupier zone should one look for? Basically, an owner occupier zone is an area that is comprised of mostly homeowners. What are some of these examples? Buru Buru, South Sea. Let's go on. Come on, guys. Let's go on. Syokimau. Kahawa Sukari. Let's go. Let's go. Areas predominated by people who own their homes. Muthaiga, Karen. Let's go. Let's go. Langata. Let's go. Nairobi West. Yeah, that kind of thing. Tenant occupier zones, areas predominated by tenants. Which are these areas? Mostly Eastlands. You have the Umoja, you have Donholm. You go to the other side, Thika Road, you have Zimmerman, you have Kasarani, you have um, um, Eastern Bypass. A lot of properties springing up Eastern Bypass. Many other places. Okay, so areas that are predominated by tenants are the ones that you want to look as an investor. Okay, that's wonderful. Let's go to the next one. Benta, I hope you will do some recap of stage one. I will try and do that, Benta. However, for your information, this webinar is recorded and I will send you a link to listen to it after this. Hilda, examples of right locations. I've just run you through that. I've run you through the examples of tenant occupier zones and owner occupier zones. Yeah. Which James says, repeat, my network fluctuates. I'm in Northeastern. Okay, so James, yes, you'll have the video recorded. You will have all the time to re-listen to the ideas that I had to share today so that you can start taking action from an informed, from an informed point of view. So thank you guys for joining from all over the place. Okay, so let's go to the third stage. The third stage is mastery of leverage. Mostly misunderstood. This is a stage that is mostly misunderstood by would-be investors, people who are starting. The fact that you can qualify for a loan from a bank does not necessarily mean that you're going to buy a property that is going to help you. How do we say that in in mother tongue. Okay, guys. So the fact that you qualify for a loan from a bank does not necessarily mean you're going to buy a piece of real estate that is going to help you move forward. However, being able to qualify for that loan from a bank means that you can leverage. It means that you can leverage if you know how to do it. So why is leverage important? Leverage is important because it helps you, just like this guy is trying here, it helps you balance something heavier than you, something heavier than your finances, something bigger than what you have in your pocket. That's leverage. So when you go to a bank and it approves a loan for you to buy a piece of property, if you know what you are doing, that bank is essentially helping you. For example, I just completed a transaction with my client that was 10 million, and apparently this guy got 8 million from the bank, and he had 2 million out of his savings, out of other sources. So if the bank had not approved this 8 million from this gentleman, he would have acquired a 2 million property, a 2 million property. But now he's acquired a 10 million property. That is what leverage is. How does it help you move forward faster? Of course, in so many ways. For him, number one, that now he's receiving 90,000 per month from this property, as opposed to if he bought a 2 million property, he would have been receiving 12,000 probably, 12,000 or 10,000 per month from a 2 million property. Okay. So he is now controlling a bigger asset portfolio. If I go back to Susan, and we discussed how after we did backward thinking and we identified the specific asset class she was going to acquire. In the discovery session, that's what we do. We identify specific, not general, specific. Are we going to buy a 2-bedroom in this particular location? Does that help us? That's a question we answer when we are doing the discovery session with you. Does this property satisfy your objectives? Does it help you move forward? Or it makes you feel nice? Okay. So we have to rationalize, those many factors that are usually present in people's minds. And I said most of what people know about real estate is redundant, is wrong. It's what the media says. And of course, the media is in a different business altogether. Okay. The media is not in the business of educating you. You've got to know that. So leverage is very crucial in helping you consistently. Write this down. Leverage helps you consistently acquire properties that you would otherwise not be able to acquire. There's a concept in finance that we call present value of money. Present value of money. So basically, here you are, you have a salary, 50,000 salary, and you can organize yourself in a way that after you've paid all your bills, you remain with 10,000 that can be committed to a loan. So when you commit the 10,000 to a loan and the bank gives you a million for 15 years because the repayment is 10,000, so basically you've brought 15 years to the present. You've brought 15 years to the present. Find somebody who bought a property 20 years ago. They got a mortgage 20 years ago. They bought a property. Ask them how they feel about the present value of that property. Remember, I said you don't have to be, gloomy because property values are going up. You are gloomy because you don't know what you're doing. There are guys who are happy. They are laughing all the way to the bank. They are so crazy with real estate. They're so happy because property values are going up because they're in the right place. Does that make sense, guys? Type in something down in the chat box and tell me that I'm making sense about leverage. So what leverage does is that it helps you Bring present value of your 10K, 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 instead of waiting until 10K becomes a million in 15 years. The bank gives you the million today. So in 15 years, that property will be worth 10 million. So basically the bank helped you to move faster, as opposed to waiting for 15 years to get a million. And by that time, that property, you've saved 1 million in 15 years, but the property you wanted to buy is now worth 10 million. So how are you going to ever catch up? SGR zimeenda. Brilliant. I think that point is taken home. Guys, type and let me know that the point is brilliantly taken home. You're not going to allow yourselves to be left by SGR. You're going to be you're going to leverage. You're going to organize yourself. There's a class I teach. I'll tell you about this. There's a class I teach that shows you how you're supposed to go to the bank and organize for that leverage. Yeah. So guys, sasa mumelewa how the bus left. Many people are complaining properties are very expensive. SGR iliondoka wakati hukuwa na habari. Guys, am I making sense? Come on. Sasa usikubali SGR ya pili iondoke tena kama umeketi. Was it Rehema? Capital Rehema. That small capital SGR ya kuacha. Yeah, Meshach was left by the bus. Who else was left by the bus? I want to hear. Bus ilikuacha ukifanya nini? Yeah, Rema says it makes sense. Thank you. You know, unaniongeza nguvu. Ukitype pale napata energy. I get my energy back. So great. This is wonderful. So leverage, you should only borrow from the bank if that loan is going to help you. Tuko pamoja. Only borrow if the loan is going to accelerate your speed. Kimani amesema hatowachwa tena. Yeah, makes sense, Patricia. Thank you guys. So leverage is at that stage. Now, unfortunately, when most people think about investing in real estate, they go straight to leverage. They have not mastered the right targets. Can you imagine leveraging the wrong property? Imagine leveraging the wrong property. Umenunua gorofa pale. I'm not against home ownership, but when you're buying a home, you need to know you're buying a home. You're not buying an investment property. Umenunua gorofa pale, umenunua milioni 10, 15, 20 ama milioni 5, na kila mwezi unalipa 50,000, 60, 100, 120, 150. Na hakuna kitu kingine unaweza nunua sasa. Umekwama pale, you are locked. You have a gridlock. So when you don't structure the leverage properly, you get into a gridlock. So I have found many clients in a gridlock, and I've helped them get out of that gridlock. So you don't want to leverage to create a gridlock. You want to leverage to create acceleration. I hope that is making sense. Yeah, like the gentleman I was helping, the transaction completed, Umoja, 10 million property, income of 90,000. So he's leveraging that to get acceleration. Sio kukwama kwa matope. Tuko pamoja. Beautiful. Let's go to the fourth stage. Oh, beautiful. Let's go to the fourth stage. Yes, Hilda. Leverage should create acceleration. Yeah. Most people do it wrong. It creates stagnation for most people. All right, let's go to the fourth stage. The fourth stage, amazing story that I had. So in the fourth stage, we said we want to create pipelines. We want to master pipelines. Why are pipelines important? Maji ni uhai na pesa ni Pesa ni uhai pia. Au sio? Corona imetukumbusha pesa ni uhai. Okay, so the pipelines we are creating are for money. We are creating money pipelines. Money pipelines. In the book, I shared with you an amazing story that I had with one of my dad's workers in the village back in the day. I was in primary school in the village, kule mashinani. And one of the things we used to do was to go fetch water with a rickshaw, kitu kama hii. Lakini hii si ile yetu ilikuwa legendary. The ones you see in the movies with metallic wheels, the braking system is some funny gadget at the back. You have to spin like this. You spin it, you spin it, you spin it, you spin it. Some rubber things come close to the wheels and they lock. That was the braking system. So the story is that we used to do this every weekend. We used to go and fetch water from 7 kilometers in a dam to bring water for use in the homestead. And the reason was a previous pipeline that had been connected had been run down by the community water project, you know, and the pipes had rusted and vandalized. So when the system was brought back, my dad ignored reconnecting. So sisi tulikuwa watu wa mareservoir. We go to the river, fetch some 200 liters in vibuyus like this one, gallons like this one here, and in 2-3 days, maji meisha. Guys have to go back again. Man, my mom used to experience, this is a total waste of time. Why don't you connect the pipeline so that these workers stop wasting time and the boys stop, wasting the weekends on trips to the dam. So one of the trips that we had with a guy called Maka, who was working with us at the time, we did something crazy. It was a little bit stupid, but it gave me a lesson. We tried to chase the bulls down a hill, and you see, I told you that the rickshaw was having metallic wheels, so there was no shock absorbing system. So it happens that there was a big rock somewhere just before the lower part of the hill where the river crossing was, and the rickshaw hit the stone and it overturned. I had jumped out of the rickshaw to break it, but the bulls were on fire, so I couldn't make it. So when it hit the rock, it overturned. It overturned on Marcus' head. He was inside the rickshaw. You know, I'm laughing because nobody got injured. And after it overturned, people who saw the whole spectacle came. We raised the rickshaw, we turned it back, and Maka was there looking like an alien. He was full of sand. He's just looking crazy. Yeah. But what is the lesson from that small story? Boys being stupid. The story is that there are ways of solving problems. The method that we were using to solve problems, the water problem, was not a permanent method. It meant that every weekend we had to go back to the riverbed, to the dam, every weekend, every weekend. Now, this is exactly what most of us do with regard to money. Money, uhai ya pesa. So every month tunaenda kazi, tunalipwa, tunakuja na mshahara. Hiyo ni hii kibuyu imejaa. After 5 days lipa kumekauka tena. So we have to go back and grab and work again. So it's a grind, It's a grind. So most people are used to the grind. But the unfortunate bit is that the grind is not a permanent solution. The grind is not a permanent solution. So why are we in this webinar? We're in this webinar to find a permanent solution. What is a permanent solution? Real estate investments that are giving you pipelines. Hizi hapa. eh? Real estate acquisitions that are giving pipelines. So why is it important that we connect our families, our our financial bucket with a real estate pipeline? This is because pipelines are more sustainable than reservoirs, than going back to fetch water with the tank. A tank will run dry, pipelines don't run dry. COVID-19, I think, if COVID-19 hasn't shown you that reservoirs run dry, then you're probably very sound asleep. Okay, so we want to connect, we want to create a portfolio. We want to create a portfolio that gives us 10,000 every month, 20,000 every month, 100,000 every month, 1 million every month. So how do you do that? I've laid the stages previously. You just don't wake up and you have a portfolio that is giving you 500,000 a month. It won't happen. Forget that. That will not happen. You have to start small with a property that is giving you 5,000, a property that is giving you 20,000, a property that is giving you 100. Then you start benefiting from leverage. Get properties that are giving you 200. That's when you're going to get to properties or a portfolio that is giving you 500. That's the only way the ones who have achieved this objective did it. Some of them started with very rudimentary structures. If you get an opportunity to speak to them. Yeah. So in the classes that I do, in the workshops that I'll be doing next week, I'll be showing you how you're going to start from ground zero, from nothing, from having no capital, from having no property. I have classes that I show people how to do this. And when you understand how it works, then you do the assignments that I'll give you. You start with the assignments that I'll give you. You're going to open your mind. You will be surprised. You will be shocked. You will discover a secret that 95% of the people do not know. They think they know. You don't go around telling people that they do not know you're going to start a fight. They think they know how it works, but they don't. Why? Because they're not doing it. Okay. So it's only 5% that are doing it. It's only 5% that do it. So I want to invite you to join the ranks of this 5% who master pipelines, who use, you know, and the preceding stage is the leverage stage. So most of these pipelines you're going to connect will not necessarily be funded by you. They will be funded using a system that I have shown you. Okay, they'll be funded using, you know, leverage, using a bit of your money and a bit of the bank's money, a bit of somebody else's money. There's that arrangement that I'll teach next week, 3 days straight in the evening, when everybody is available, and show you how actually this whole system works and how you can actually implement it. So the fourth stage is very crucial. You cannot grow a portfolio that is not helping you buy the next property. That you'll break your back, and actually you'll only have one property, and that's what you will talk about for the rest of your life. But if you organize it in the sequence that I am showing you, you will on regular basis you will be on regular basis acquiring new income generating properties. The clients that I work with, I usually work with 10 clients at a time, 10 clients every quarter. The clients that I'm working with, like yesterday I told you I closed a deal that the client is now going to be receiving 90,000 a month on a property worth 10 million, where the mortgage repayment is about 90,000 a month. Okay. So you can see there is some synergy, there is some help, there's some acceleration, because the property is helping him acquire the very property. Okay, does that make sense, guys? So when you master pipelines, when you master how to connect pipelines, you create bigger pipelines by the day, to a point where the pipelines are giving you more than enough for your lifestyle, more than enough for your livelihood. You can have this process. When I'm doing discovery sessions with my client, we want to create a roadmap for 10 years or 15 years. If you have more time, we can create even for 20 years. Now, if you have a short period of time, we can create for 5 years, but of course, you have to move very fast. You've got to use SGR, or you've got to take a plane to Mombasa. If you have 5 years or less, you really have to step on the gas. Okay. So, guys, we are going to the final stage. Let me hear what you have to say. Is it helping? Is this webinar what you've been waiting for? Yeah, is this it? Is this going to change your financial world? Is it going to change your real estate journey? Is it going to help you? I want to know whether this is of service to you, if this is actually helping you. All right. So let's go to the final stage. Let's go to the final stage. I don't see anyone typing. What's up? Where are the batteries, you guys? Yes, Hilda, thank you very much. This is helping you for sure. Guys, type in there as I go through the final stage. Type in there. Tell me this is helping you. Tell me you're going to do something about it. Tell me you're not going to sit down. And of course, you're not going to do what everyone else is doing. Now I've given you a better system. Now, let's go to the final stage. The final stage is mastery of the spring effect. Unaona spring hapa. When you're driving, Maka, we crashed because we didn't have, our rickshaw did not have an absorbing ability. Yeah, our rickshaw did not have shock absorbing ability. So when you have done the four stages, the first one, you've mastered targets, you've mastered practice, you've mastered leverage, and you have pipelines. In essence, what you've created is like a pyramid that is very solid, that gives you the spring effect. It's, the pyramid is the strongest structure, basically because of the way it's created. So if you've been paying attention, over the four stages, we are creating a pyramid. Over the four, we are creating something so solid, you can't shake it. That's why it can absorb. The spring effect, metaphorically, is it can absorb shocks. Ukipoteza job, uko na ka portfolio, inakupea 100,000 a month, inakupea 200,000 a month, ina absorb hizo shocks, bado inakusaidia kubeba mzigo zaidi. When you follow the four stages, you have a solid portfolio, a solid base that helps you acquire more properties. I talked about Susan. She's now in the process of invoking this spring effect. Out of the portfolio that she's acquired over the years, she's now able to speak to the bank, to her financiers, and they're able to agree to lend her because, one, she has securities, the properties as security, and two, she has cash flows coming. Rahema had asked where capital will come from. I'm showing you how to build capital. Capital is built or borrowed. Capital is built or borrowed. I'm showing you a system how to do that. You start small. There's no smallest, impossible smallest. You start from where you are. I believe everybody in this webinar has a way of making money. The little you think you're making can be organized. If you get a session with me in the discovery session, I'm going to tell you how to do that. When you get an opportunity with me, I'll show you how to organize that little you think is little. and it's going to start creating, a base like that of a pyramid. A base like that of a pyramid. You have small, many properties that are building, so that the next acquisition is one bigger property, then the next acquisition is one even bigger property, and the next acquisition is one big property. Okay, so that's how you create this system. So when you get that pyramid working now, you have the spring effect. You now actually don't need active income to ask the bank for money. You now don't need active income to ask the bank for money because the spring effect is now there. You have a leverage portfolio. You have a portfolio to leverage again. You have multiple streams from multiple properties. You have a portfolio that is valuable. Just imagine you have a portfolio that is worth 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million. Half of it could be borrowed, but it's your portfolio. It's your portfolio. How do you think that is going to help you in acquiring another property? When you have a portfolio, say a 50 million portfolio, and you want to acquire a 15 million portfolio, pretty easy. Pretty easy. There's a formula I teach in the classes that I usually do after this webinar, because I'm trying to take you in steps, in stages. You learn how to walk in stages, in steps. So you are also going to learn how to invest in stages. You can't wake up one day and you know everything about real estate investments. There are stages. And I take people through 3 stages of teaching them how real estate works, of teaching them how to invest. The first stage is usually a discovery session. What is discovery session? Discovery session is a session where you have with me, where we discuss where you are positioned today, where you are positioned today. You cannot start your journey from Nairobi when you're in Meru. It's not possible. Most people are trying to do that. They're trying to start a journey in Nairobi and in Nakuru, man. A little crazy. Yeah. So when you sit with me on that discovery, and we actually discover where you are. One day I sat with a gentleman. He was already in Mombasa, but he thought he was in Nairobi. Crazy as it sounds, it has happened. Yeah. So why do most people not take action after such wonderful evenings, after such wonderful webinars? Because I said, the frame of mind, not money. It has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with the frame of mind. Some people would rather make sense their anchors, and the anchors are in a totally different domain. But they'll tell you the first thing when you leave school, buy a house. Beautiful. Okay. But is that going to puncture a hole in your financial bucket? Or is it going to help you buy the second acquisition, the second, the third, and the fourth? I am not against that. What I'm saying is that you have to ask yourself a simple question. Will this acquisition position me in a better state to do the second one, to do the third one, to do the fourth one? That's a simple question, but the answer is usually very emotional. So one of the reasons why most people don't take action is because the emotions are overriding what they think they can do, and they become helpless. Now, out there, I know very few professionals who do this, who do what I'm trying to do, who help people with these systems. And my experience has been most professionals are traditional and they are doing things based by the book. They say, ukikuja kwangu, nitakufanyia evaluation, nitakupatia, enda ukachukue pesa kwa benki. Haya, utanunua nyumba gani? So very few people are actually doing this, helping people to understand how real estate works. As a matter of fact, I don't know many people who are offering this kind of service. So it's very hard to actually find a solution to these problems that most people have. So I actually created this program out of experience of my clients. My clients were always coming. At first they'll be coming to seek a valuation report or an opinion on something. But actually, what they're not telling you is that I don't know how this thing is going to work. I don't know how. So I sat down and wrote the program. I wrote a complete program, which I've been teaching for the last 5 years. And quite a number of guys in this webinar have attended that program. I think Michael has. I think George has. I had invited other guys to also attend, and I'm very happy. Actually, Michael, you could attend. George, you could attend, and the program is aimed at, number one, demystifying real estate, just removing unnecessary myths about real estate, and laser focusing you on what you need to know about investment real estate. In my class, I don't talk about homes. Homes are beautiful, they are wonderful, I love them, but my program focuses on investment real estate. Investment real estate. So I was telling you that out there you are faced with thousands, if not millions, of properties. So how do you choose which one you're going to buy? Is a million million shilling question. So in order to help you with that, I said I have a program, I have a system that I've been using. I've been consulting with my clients. I've been giving people a one-to-one consultancy session, because real estate is very personal. Okay, one-to-one consultancy session, and these sessions help you discover where you are positioned and where you want to go. Now, I went a step further and said, now the people that I give that private session, because they have told me, they have said, you know what, Kilundo, I'm serious. I want to do something. That's why I'm having the discovery session with you. So I said, I will actually give them the free class, a class that I've been teaching over the last 5 years, and I've been charging 50,000 per person. Quite a number of guys have been in that class. Before Corona, we were doing that class in hotels, Hilton Hotel, Hadassah in Upper Hill. So that class usually covers, in my opinion, what I believe, everything you need to know about investment real estate. It demystifies a lot of myths that are bound out there, and it shows you how to start from step one, step two, step three, step four. So these sessions, I've been doing the discovery sessions. Of course, the cost, there's a cost for the discovery session. I've been doing them at a cost of 25,000. Of course, when COVID showed up, I said, okay, I'm going to be sensitive to what's happening. I'm going to offer rebates like everyone else is doing, and I gave 70% off on the discovery session, and I threw in um, the workshop for the 1.0 class. The 1.0 class alone usually goes for 15,000. The discovery session goes for 25,000. Where's the slide that shows the total cost actually? Yeah, this is a slide that shows the total cost. So the private session, the session that we do, it's between an hour and 2 hours, where we discuss actually whether your real estate is working for you or it needs repositioning, whether where you're going to start and how you're going to arrive at Mombasa, how you're going to use, how much fuel you're going to use, which stops you're going to make along the way. It's a very comprehensive discovery session. So that's usually worth 25,000. And the what follows that is, next week we'll be having the classes on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Will be the 1.0 class. This is the class where I show you how real estate works. Forget what you had in the news. Okay, there is what is sensational and there is what works. People are talking about bubbles busting. Yeah, so what happens when bubbles burst? Are we going to stop investing? Are we going to stop living in houses? It's going to continue. So in that class, I will show you why bubbles will be irrelevant for you if you think in the right way as an investor. As a matter of fact, you'll be happy because there are bubbles, because you've positioned yourself in a way where you can benefit from boom and from a bust and from a decline as well. Yeah, there are methods that you use to benefit from either way, because you're smart, you're researching all the time, you know the direction the market is moving, and you know the tactics to implement in order to benefit from the direction that the market is moving. Then, of course, after that, All the videos for training classes have an exclusive community where you keep listening to them. Of course, it's got a value. It's 1,000 a month, so I allow you to have that for a whole year, which is valued at 12,000. So total value is 52,000. So actually, the discount that I'm giving is more than 70%. I think if you work out 7,500 against 52,000 is definitely much more than 70% off. So I'm allowing guys to do these sessions with me via Zoom on the time that you're available. If you're available during the day, we do that discovery session during the day. If you're available in the evening, we do the discovery session in the evening so that you discover where you're beginning. After the discovery session, then I take you on the bonus class, the free class. I take you through the 3 classes of showing you how actually real estate works so that you can actually implement the roadmap. In this discovery session, we are creating a roadmap for you. Then I'll show you how real estate works so that you can create your own action steps, your own implementation step. There are other advanced programs that I teach. There is the 2.0 and the 3.0, but I usually want to discuss those to people who want to advance from the 1.0. Everybody has to go through the 1.0, and the 1.0 comes with the discovery session where we are actually doing something that is going to help you. You're actually going to discover how you're going to work with me after the classes to start implementing your investment practice. So I'm giving you guys this opportunity before, of course, we've found out that we have to live with Corona, so we have to go back to to our lives as usual. Before this discount is withdrawn, I want you guys to come in and tell me I am serious, Mr. Baby. I'm serious. I'm really serious about learning these 5 stages and starting small and actually moving forward. That 1.0 class is very heavy. Guys go through that class, and they are wondering, why they lost 15 years, 20 years without knowing this, and they're not able to to rationalize how they're going to recover the lost time because the opportunities are right in front of you. You're surrounded by them. So I've given you the my till number over there. My till number is 748479. You can book yourself in before the discounts are withdrawn. If you want to have some inquiries, you can send a text to this number, 710-450-598. Send text. Then text to this number. I'll respond to the text and I'll call you back so that we can have a conversation on how you can fit this in your schedule and how you can implement whatever it is that you want to implement. So now I want to take any questions that are remaining from you. We've covered the roadmap. Again, the roadmap is a systematic stage by stage where you learn how to implement your real estate acquisition, your real estate portfolio. You have to be patient with yourself so that you can actually master each of these stages. How long does it take to master stage? It takes the amount of time you commit to mastering the stage. If you don't do the first stage, you can't move to the second stage. You will stay for 5 years and you'll be wondering, now what's happening. I remember when we were working with Susan, I actually sold an apartment in Kileleshwa for 4.5 million. It was a two-bedroom apartment. I can't tell you how expensive that apartment felt. I done a valuation. The value was 4.2. It felt like billions. Today, the same apartment is 16 million. How does that feel to you? If you don't get into real estate today, you will you will wish you started 10 years back, it will be so hard for you to join. You'll have to look for much more money. The growth of market is not proportionate to the growth of making money. Yeah, so that's one thing you have to understand. Growing money, especially from a salary system, goes in a linear curve, goes very slowly. But real estate in Kenya is going through a what is called an exponential curve. you know Values of land are shooting like crazy everywhere around the city. Ruaka was doubling every year. Price of land. Eastern Bypass was doubling every year. Syokimau, you all have the experience with Syokimau. I remember selling a property there in 2005, a 5-acre property for less than 3 million. Now the same property is 100 million. That's even almost bordering on the ridiculous. But what do? The demand is there. The fundamentals are there to support the growth of value. Kitengela, I remember also getting a property there, 5 acres, at 3.5 million. Today, the same 5 acres is 97 million. Yeah. So it's not going to wait for you, unfortunately. But what you can do is you can position yourself now, start small, using our system. You don't have to crack your head. You don't have to crack your head. Use the system. There is a system for learning how to drive. There is a system for learning how to fly a plane. There is a system for investing. Use it. I'm offering you an opportunity to learn how it works so that you can start implementing the system. So let's do discovery session, Rehema. Uh, let's do discovery sessions, Patricia, Solomon, James. You actually, James, you're already in. Okay, James, you're already in. After this, probably send me a text here so that I get in touch with you. We set the date for your discovery session. Then, of course, you'll be joining the group class, which will be happening Tuesday, uh, Thursday, and Friday. There's a group I'm already working with. I'm actually coaching them on Wednesdays evening, but that will come after you've first gone through the discovery session, and I've taught you through the 3 classes so that you understand why you probably need my help after that when you're implementing your property acquisitions. Yeah. So Benta, this session is recorded. I'll broadcast the recording once it's been completed by the system. I'll send it to you guys. Catherine, when are we doing your discovery session? When are we doing your discovery session? I think, George, we did yours and you're happy. You're moving forward. Michael, you've been with us for some years now. Is wonderful. And I believe you've done something. The last time we spoke, you were doing something. You were implementing the ideas that we talked in the program 3 years back. So, guys, we have come to the close of this session. I want to be very grateful. I want to thank all of you for sitting in the session. I don't think we've lost anybody since we started. Guys have just been coming in late. This is wonderful. I've enjoyed sharing the information I have, the knowledge I have with you guys. Now, the ball is on your court. The ball is on your court. When are you going to do your discovery session? Take advantage of this special offer before it goes off, before it disappears. James is very happy. That was very valuable, and we are going to start implementing the investments going forward. So it's been wonderful. I think Rehema is typing. Yes, thank you very much, Rehema. I appreciate your comments. Patricia is typing. Yeah. Yes, bountiful. Thank you. Fresh perspective and great insight. I'm interested in the program. Just send a text to that number, Patricia. I'm going to get back to you. Benta is happy with the insights. Of course, I am more than happy for you guys to learn this stuff and start using it in your investment portfolio. So let the numbers start moving. I've given you the telephone number you're going to send the comments to, or the questions that you have, or so that you can get in touch with me and agree on when we're going to do your discovery session, and begin training and getting into the investment real estate. Thank you very much for this session. I think